It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That's Hellstar from their 30 Years of Hell, and that's called The Plague Called Man. Kicking off the Classic Metal Show tonight, and The Plague Called Man, or should I say The Plague Called Chris, is on the other mic with me. Welcome back, Chris. You've been gone for, 2 weeks?
I abandoned the show for a week, but I'm back.
Well, here we are. I had to go with the best of last week.
Well, you couldn't do it without me?
I could, but it would be boring. I'm a boring guy.
Well, I'm certainly not boring. I just couldn't clear my schedule last week.
Bro, you're such a social butterfly these days.
Dude, you know it, man. It's so. After being in prison for 23 years, man, you got to go out and see what's out there, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to kick off the show tonight by interviewing Chris as a fairly newly single guy.
Sure.
Now,
wait a minute, you didn't welcome me to the show.
Oh, welcome to the show, Chris.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, we are back on the Classic Metal Show. Chris and I didn't do the show last week. I ran a best of or an archive show.
Right.
In your absence, or in our absence, I should say. I thought about doing a show solo, and, I did that for 2.5 years when you abandoned the show the first time.
Right, when I skipped town.
And I got to be honest with you, even though this is my show, it's something I started 17 years ago, it was not always a pleasure to do the show solo for 2.5 years.
Well, you had opportunities to bring other hosts. Why didn't you grab one?
Well, I'm going to tell you why.
All right.
Number one, chemistry is a big thing.
Sure.
That's why the show works between you and I, because of the chemistry.
I'd agree.
Number two, equipment is an issue.
Yeah, that's true.
You and I have to work out our equipment issues on a weekly basis just to make sure everything is working. And in the last, say, month and a half, we have had some really fucked up equipment issues.
Yeah, there's no question on that, dude. We have had all kinds of fucking problems.
Okay, so we kind of ironed that out, I think.
Well, we think we're close.
We're close.
Yeah.
So that's an issue because, the equipment that you use in Studio B, as it were,
yeah,
I basically procured for you.
You did. You stole it from an online source.
Right. So in order for me to have a worthy co-host, I would probably have had to do the same thing for them.
Yeah. Or you could have told them what to buy.
Yeah, but how many people are willing to spend the money?
I think the one guy would have.
Okay, one guy.
The one rich guy that wanted to do it.
Okay.
But I don't think you would have had any chemistry with him personally.
Well, that's my point.
Right.
So then, being the fact that, even though some people don't even realize, even until this day,
yeah,
you and I don't share a studio.
Not often, that's for sure.
So there would be an internet issue.
Yep, exactly.
I have the best high-speed cable internet available to man. And I could have been stuck with a co-host who was paying the $14.99 DSL charge.
Yeah, that would have worked real well.
That would have not worked. So
bit.
That could have been a problem.
Sure.
So there were numerous issues with getting a replacement co-host. Not, the chemistry and the time and dedication and the equipment issues and the internet issues and the, working things out, and there was a lot to it. So rather than go through all that, I decided just to hoof it on my own, because in my heart of hearts, I knew you would be back.
Yeah, you knew my marriage would fail. You were just waiting for it.
Well, I wasn't necessarily waiting for that per se. I just knew that there would be a time when you would come back around.
Right.
Because
well, I did.
But you couldn't ignore the chemistry, the magic that is the Classic Metal Show, with myself and yourself being co-hosts.
I agree. I mean, me and you had how many discussions about me coming back in the 2 years that we were off? 100?
Yeah, it's like I would love to do it, but I can't.
Yeah, it's like it'll make my other 6 days a week just fucking a nightmare.
Right. So anyway, I chose to just wait out the storm.
Right.
And you're back. But since you've been back,
yes,
you've had a very full plate, not only doing the Classic Metal show, but also trying to schedule your social engagements on the weekend so it wouldn't interfere with the show.
Yeah, I haven't been very successful at that, have I?
But the fact remains, it does interfere with the show now and again.
It does, I'm trying. I'm really trying to make sure I do stuff on Fridays instead of Saturdays. But it just this month especially has just been crazy, man. It's been really since right before Thanksgiving. It has just been really since my birthday. We had my birthday. The fact that I'm an egomaniac and I needed 3 birthdays didn't help. And obviously I scheduled 3 different birthdays on 3 different Saturdays, and and this month I had this party that I was at last week, and I've got something going on next week, and it's a never-ending cycle. But I'm hoping that so far I have nothing booked in January, so I'm hoping new year, new start.
All right. Well, I guess the point that I was leading up to is that since you've been single,
yeah,
obviously the offers for you to participate in various, social gatherings, functions,
sure,
one-on-one. What is the impetus behind that? Do your friends call you and say, "Hey, Chris, I know you're single now, so I know you could make the party," and because of the repression you've suffered for the last 23 years, is the appeal to go attend these just so overwhelming that you're just like, I gotta go?
You know what? A lot of it has to do with who. There's certain people that I want to do stuff with, and I do. And there is the fact that I've been locked up for so long. Let me tell you the truth, man. For the last 3 Fridays in a row, I've said I'm not going out. Not going to go out, not going to do anything. I'm just going to chill out. I've been too out of control. I got to chill out. And then by like 9, 10 o'clock, it's like, all right, I got the itch. I'm out of here. So I think it's a little of all of what you just said. I think I definitely have the itch to go. Anymore, by Tuesday of every week, I've got offers to go do stuff. And, I'm not really trying to say no to anything. I said no to everything for way too long. So now it's just, what do they call it? Sowing your wild oats?
I guess. Well, you were married for 23 years.
Yes, I was.
You just turned 44.
Yes, I did.
So that means you were, I'm assuming you and your former wife dated at least a year before you got married.
6 months.
Okay, 6 months. So half a year.
Right.
So that means that you gave up your freedom as a single, wild, crazy, out of control young man at 21 years old.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to say totally, because I've done some crazy shit, when I wasn't with her, but it was all sporadic. It was never. I never had that period like most people have till 25 or so where they just run. They just run and they're hitting it and they're getting pussy and they're fucking drinking and they're partying and they're doing all the things that they want to do and getting out of their system. I never had that.
That's kind of where I'm going with this.
Yeah. So, I never did until now.
Okay. So basically you're reliving what you should have done 23 years ago now.
Exactly.
And let me ask you, what's that like?
Well, it's great. It is fun. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, it's different. I like it because it's just it is fun, and I've had a lot of wilder shit to do lately. It hasn't been what I expected. As far as I expected a bunch of older people, and I know I'm usually the wild one in my age bracket, but it really hasn't been that way. It's been a lot of people wanting to do wild shit. And obviously when I host parties and whatnot, I bring it up to my level. I don't bring it down to everybody sitting on the couch and, chilling out, having a beer. It's definitely things being thrown and things being broken and things being wild and, kind of me, so I don't know. So far, so good. It's been fun. I'm not complaining. And, nobody else seems to be too much.
Sure, absolutely. Well, the reason I brought this up is the fact that you are out there partaking in a social life, and you are straddling the line between, co-hosting the Classic Metal Show and trying to also, be a Saturday night socialite because a lot of people do their stuff on the weekend. I mean, that's just a given.
Right.
But when I started doing this show 17 years ago, I too was involved with a, long-term relationship. And at that time, that relationship, after doing the Classic Metal Show for about 2 years, was, do you have to do that show every Saturday? Do you have to go and do that all the time? Where is this going to go from here? How come you can't be at home and spend the time with me? Do you have to do the show? And the answer was always, yeah, I do. Yeah, well, I do.
I'm quite sure I'm going to get back to that, because I love doing the show pretty much more than anything else. Anything else that I do, honestly. I mean, truthfully, I like doing the show more than I like partying. I like doing the show definitely more than I like working. I definitely like it more than the writing that I'm doing, writing the various books and whatnot that I'm involved in right now, and all this other stuff that I do. I always know that I got 6 hours on a Saturday that I know is going to be fun and it's going to kick ass, and we're going to, me and you. Plus, for me, I really don't get to see you, often. So it's kind of like my little party, where you're invited.
Right,
so
sure.
So I'll get back to it. I mean, right now it's just a little bit crazy, but I get it. I definitely get it. And, if and when I do eventually hook up with the next chick, she's going to have to deal with it.
Well, that's another point I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
Because in the intern of 17 years of doing the show,
yeah,
I've had basically, I'm going to say, and I know this is going to sound weird, 1.5 relationships. Because one was serious and one could have been serious. And the show always was a factor in whether that relationship succeeded or failed, and it went separate ways.
Right. Well, I did that, and I chose the wrong way. So I won't choose the wrong way twice.
So I find that interesting that when it comes to relationships, that this show is a stumbling block for the significant other.
No, it is, dude. I mean, look. I mean, you were here to see how much of a stumbling block it was. Fucking ridiculous how much of a stumbling block it was. But I get it. The chicks want all your attention. Otherwise, why are they giving you pussy? But the reality is, they gotta let us be us. I mean, and my thought has always been, I could be out running the streets, partying, and I'm not. I'm safe. I'm here. I'm not drinking and driving. I'm not using blow anymore. I'm not smoking weed anymore. There's a lot of worse things I could be doing. I could be gambling away my rent every month or my mortgage or whatever. Instead, what am I doing? I'm talking shit on the radio. So they got to deal with it.
Right. Well, anyway, welcome back, Chris. Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me once again.
Well, we're winding down 2012.
Yes.
We basically only have 7 more days.
Yeah.
Before the world implodes.
That's true too. Yeah.
And so we're going to give you 3 interviews because we haven't done interviews in a while.
Right.
And the day after the world implodes, which is next Saturday,
right?
We're going to give you the best of 2012.
And I personally can't wait. I mean, you and I were talking earlier in the week about the segments that we're going to do for the 2012. And I had told you that I had narrowed it down to 7 hours. And then you immediately were like, well, what about this segment? I was like, shit. And it was like, we can't even, the one segment that you brought up, there's absolutely no way we cannot have.
Right.
No way. I mean, it next to hand job, probably the funniest segment in the whole show, in the whole year. And I forgot.
Right.
And that's crazy that I even forgot about it. But I'll tell you what, and I know you listen to the Spreaker all the time, dude. We have kicked just a shit ton of ass since August when I came back.
Sure.
It's been great.
Now, would you say that some of the best radio that we've done over the last, let's just say 7 years, even though 2.5 years was void, of you being, part of the show.
Yeah.
Would you say some of the best radio we've done has been in the last 5 months?
Oh, without question. Without question. I would take, I can name some of them off the top of my head. Hand job, I think, was freaking hysterical. The Ian Hunter was arguably the best segment we've ever done.
That one just still cracks me up.
That was good. The woman in the rain and Happy Time with Harry.
Heavy Metal Dad and Anime Girl.
Anime Girl.
People liked it. Table cake.
Table cakes.
For some reason, people loved table cake.
Table cake. Who knows why? But, dude, that was hilarious. The Axl Rose stuff with the knees,
head and shoulders, knees and toes.
Knees and toes. Yeah, dude. It's funny. The first segment that I think I did when we came back is one of those that's like a borderline one. When we were talking about Ted Nugent.
And you crying your eyes out at the concert because of all the ballads.
Yeah, because of all the sad breakup ballads.
Nice.
I mean, that's like a borderline thing, dude.
Sure.
The TNN review on the fly.
Yeah.
That shit was all great, man.
And also doing Big Dog Radio, interviewing Jack Russell.
Oh, yeah.
Just
last week, Talking Metal. Or 2 weeks ago, Talking Metal.
Yeah, we beat the shit out of those guys again.
And that shit was hilarious listening back to it.
So,
Infirmary Kids.
Which, by the way, I need to talk to you about that later in the show.
Okay.
Because I got to find out the latest update on that.
Okay.
And then, I tell you what, the two that stand out for me.
All right.
And I know I told you this already, but obviously, Hand Job and Ian Hunter.
Oh yeah.
Those two were just top of the list for me.
Dude, and I was listening to Hand Job this week because obviously that's going to make the best of show. And we've basically retooled the whole show around that segment. Hand Job.
Hand Job.
Hand job.
Yeah, hand job, pal.
But, dude, it is so fucking funny listening to you react initially when you're like, no, he really did say it.
It was great.
So freaking funny. Dude.
Yeah, and one of the things, being Red as our big voice guy.
Yeah.
He definitely needs to do a new bumper for us or another new bumper for us, that goes, something about listening to Chris and Neeley on the Classic Metal Show, the home of hand job or something to the effect, or, get your hand job here or something.
Need a hand job? Get it from the Classic Metal Show.
But this is how I envision it. It's just like, hey, you're listening to two guys on, something about 17 years or some, Classic Metal Shop. Or Classic Metal Show, and it's just like, and you got to have this peaceful music going on. He goes, where you two, if you're a loser, you can get a hand job, pal, or something like that.
I will get busy on that immediately.
You follow what I'm saying? It's got like that peaceful serenity music in the background, and Red and his soothing big voice guy, and where even you as a loser can get a hand job. The Classic Metal Show.
Well, Red owes me a favor, so I think we can definitely do that.
Something about
I'm actually want to talk about that on the show too tonight. We'll talk about it in a little bit because the favor, you're going to laugh your ass off when you hear what I did for him.
Nice. All right. Well, here's what's going on in the show tonight. I've got 3 interviews lined up for you. Jeff Pilson, formerly of Dokken, currently of Foreigner, and of course his other side projects, Tooth and Nail or TNN.
Right.
He'll be calling in tonight.
Cool.
But I won't have an audience behind me going, "It's unprecedented the way that you your new show or your new CD. It's just unprecedented. The phone lines have been going crazy."
The reaction on our phone is unprecedented.
That won't be happening tonight.
No?
No.
Oh.
I will be talking to Jeff Pilson as a friend because Jeff and I have been friends for going on 20 years now.
I know, it's crazy how long you've known that guy.
So Jeff is calling in as a friend tonight. Also, James Rivera of Seven Witches and Hellstar will be calling in tonight. We'll be talking to him about 30 Years of Hell, Hellstar.
Nice, another friend of the show.
Sure. He's a good dude. I like that guy. So he'll be calling in tonight to talk about the new live CD.
Cool.
And then John Corabi, someone who's been on the show a couple of times over the years. Of course, you know John Corabi from Motley Crue,
right.
Rat, Union, Scream.
Yeah.
You know, the guy's been around. Good dude. He's out promoting a new acoustic record.
Right, which is awesome, by the way. If you like acoustic stuff, it's just called Simply Unplugged. Man, is it good. Karabi's one of those guys that, you know, he's one of those proverbial guys where people say he could sing the phone book and you'd listen. I'm that guy with Karabi. That guy's fucking amazing.
Right. So those are the guests we have lined up tonight. And then, of course, we got our usual silliness, if you will.
Yes, we do.
So stick around for the Classic Metal Show. Chris and I are here, and next week,
yes,
the best of the Classic Metal Show.
That's right. You guys will enjoy it, guaranteed.
So hand job to you, pal.
And hand job to you, too, sir. Hand job!
Thank you. All right, well, let's jump into some tunage here. Let's play something off the new Corabi release. Right. What do you think we ought to play?
Well, since it's mellow... why don't we go with the perfect breakup song, since we were talking about me breaking up my marriage earlier. Let's go with Crash.
Okay. All right. Well, here's John Corabi from John Corabi Acoustic, and this is Crash exclusively here
on your Classic Metal Show.